Hi there, welcome to The Wrap. Simple news updates for busy people. Brought to you by Verashni Pillay, myself, Sarah Evans, and the Explain.coza team. Now, this week, we have a look at whether closed beaches and bars will be able to stop a second wave of the coronavirus. And there's hope for Covid and HIV. Let's dig in. In the big story this week, put those beach plans on hold. For those of us living in COVID-19 hotspots or heading there for the holidays, December is about to be severely curtailed. President Cyril Ramaphosa is expected to make an announcement about this on Thursday evening. Now, at the time of writing this week's wrap, nothing had been confirmed yet, but if leaks to journalists this week are anything to go by, localized restrictions may be announced in the next 2 weeks because of infection spikes in certain areas. Now, both News 24 and Business Day report that hotspots like Cape Town, the Garden Route, and parts of the Eastern Cape will be facing tighter restrictions on booze and gatherings. The Eastern Cape has reportedly asked Ramaphosa, provincial leadership, and the National Coronavirus Command Council to close its beaches. This as the province sees an alarming hike in cases. Nelson Mandela Bay alone now accounts for more than 50% of the country's cases, according to Times Live. Annual matric rage parties along the country's coastal towns are possible super spreader events, experts have warned, but many of these post-matric gatherings are going ahead anyway. Gauteng is still on the safe side, so greater restrictions are not needed yet. But the province, the economic hub of the country, is at risk with people bringing back the virus from coastal areas after the holidays, which could then lead to a national second wave early next year. On the bright side, SA is much better equipped to handle a resurgence now with our experience of the disease and our beefed up medical facilities. Still, our system is not bulletproof, and it's no reason to get complacent. 2020 has been a rough year, and we all need to unwind, but we need to keep doing it safely. Now, this week, news broke that in under a year, scientists have developed a vaccine that's 100% effective in preventing severe COVID-19. In science speak, that's a pretty big deal. The vaccine by pharmaceutical company Moderna is 94% effective at preventing the disease in general, giving us hope that life can one day soon return to normal. But COVID-19 is far from the only disease on the block. December 1 was World AIDS Day, which serves as a sobering reminder that another virus, HIV, leads to millions of deaths every year. No viable vaccine has been developed for it yet. But there are many reasons to be optimistic. Huge strides have been made in the fight against HIV, and they're worth celebrating. As we continue our end-of-year series of the big moments of 2020, here are our highlights. Several new drugs have been developed with increasing efficacy. For example, one such drug delivered by injection has proven to be 89% more effective at preventing HIV in women than the HIV prevention pill currently on the market. This gives women who struggle to take a daily pill more options too. Now, a new drug developed by pharmaceutical company Cipla will go a long way to ease experts' concerns over HIV in children. It's proven difficult to get children to stick to sometimes onerous regime treatments, with kids often vomiting up the foul-tasting medication or refusing to drink it. New medications, which are better tasting and easier to administer, are now available to children. Mother-to-child transmission of HIV in SA has dropped dramatically. In 2007, 40% of HIV-infected moms transmitted the virus to their babies. That number is currently at 1%, thanks to successful prevention programs and mothers taking their ARVs. The idea of a vaccine for HIV used to seem impossible, but now at least 3 significant HIV vaccines are underway. One of these is currently testing a vaccine to prevent HIV in young women, especially in sub-Saharan Africa, which is great news for SA. In our news briefs this week, an attempt to sack President Cyril Ramaphosa has fallen flat. When the little-known African Transformation Movement asked Parliament to hold a motion of no confidence debate in Ramaphosa earlier this year, most people wrote it off as a joke. How could a party with only 2 seats in Parliament hope to remove the president? But as we explained this week on Explain.coza, ANC factional politics is once again at play, and the ATM shouldn't be written off. At the time of writing, the debate had been postponed after a failed court bid to try to have Parliament hold the debate by closed ballot failed. So it was a big brouhaha, and now we wait. Now, 20 South Africans woke up with a bigger bank balance on Wednesday morning thanks to a mysterious pattern in the Powerball numbers on Tuesday evening. The winning numbers were beautifully sequential: 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, and the Powerball number was 10. What are the odds? Ituba, which operates the lottery, was accused of rigging the sequence, but said that while the sequence is unusual, it's not uncommon. The 20 people will each get a share of 114 million rand. Now, we reported last week that the ANC received legal advice which said it could not suspend members suspected of corruption like Eskom, but an independent new legal opinion says it can, according to News 24, as this is in line with a rule adopted by the NEC. Ramaphosa's allies are pushing for the same, Daily Maverick reported. And as we reported last week, ANC leaders accused of wrongdoing have stepped aside when asked to do so in the past. The new opinion could strengthen Ramaphosa's hand when he goes to an NEC meeting this weekend, a meeting that reportedly could decide Makgashule's fate. Speaking of corruption, the ANC is not alone in having endless talk shops about corruption, and the answers are right in front of it. The government has yet another anti-corruption plan on the cards. Approved at a cabinet meeting 2 weeks ago, the plan involves creating an anti-corruption advisory council and a range of plans and policies. In our view, instead of spending money on more salaried positions and talk shops, the government should just make sure the NPA and the police are properly funded to ensure that they can do their jobs. Now, TikTok, the social media platform of amazing dance videos, hilarious skits, and most recently, the Jenner sisters, has taken on a more sinister face. The New York Times reports that Mexican drug cartels are uploading videos featuring drugs, armored vehicles, weapons, and puppies being watered to the sound of love songs to recruit young would-be gangsters into their world. Mexico is reportedly expected to break records with its murder rate this year, so the use of social media as a marketing tool for gangsters is worrying. Meanwhile, the country this week also legalized marijuana after a protracted legal battle to get the country's lawmakers to do so. Workers in government sectors back in SA, like nurses, policemen, and teachers, have been threatening to strike for some time over wage freezes. The government previously signed a 3-year wage increase deal with the public sector unions, but then said it cannot be implemented because the government is broke. Public sector wages are the biggest item in the national budget, and that's one of the reasons the ratings agencies have downgraded SA. But the unions this week took the government to court, arguing that the government was obliged to honour its commitment. At the last minute, the government reportedly opted to settle. According to Business Day, the mooted agreement entails a once-off bonus and a year's pension holiday, but the finer details of the offer are still being ironed out. Let's hope this is resolved to spare the country a protracted strike and a court battle which would badly affect government's work and those reliant on its services. Now, Netflix is about to spend $1 billion expanding its studios to produce more content. That, coupled with market movements at home, means South Africans will have even more streaming choices. SA company MultiChoice has decided that if you can't beat them, you might as well join them. So they're integrating Netflix and Amazon Prime to their service. Thanks to discounts, Showmax also saw a jump in usage during lockdown. Government entities are joining the party too, and Telkom is launching a streaming platform with SABC content, according to the Financial Mail. We live in an age of prestige television, so get the popcorn out and enjoy. Now, the past week has seen yet another outpouring of hate for the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan Markle. But this time, it was over her decision to pen an op-ed about her miscarriage, something stars like Beyoncé, Gabrielle Union, Michelle Obama, and Nicole Kidman have all spoken openly about. In September, model Chrissy Teigen shared her miscarriage story on social media too. Markle is no stranger to criticism from British tabloids, having been lambasted for everything from her nail polish choice to eating avocado on toast. So when Markle opened up about her miscarriage, her heart-wrenching description of clutching onto her firstborn while losing her secondborn was met with some vocal criticism. One of the most critical voices came from SA's own former leader of the DA, Helen Zille, who referred to Markle sharing her story as, quote, victimhood with virtue. Fortunately, Zille was roundly condemned, with even those in her own party calling for a more caring society. Markle also received a lot of support, and hopefully Markle's experience will go some way towards creating one, given that roughly 15% of all pregnancies result in miscarriage worldwide. Now, we just love this story via The Economist. Thousands of Guatemalans protested against the budget passed by the country's Congress. Some set fire to Congress itself. They were angry about, wait for it, the budget, including extra money for congressmen's meal allowances, but less for the judiciary, malnutrition, and health. Congress actually backed down. It's a fairly extreme way to hold power to account, which we wouldn't advocate, but it does provide a lesson in citizens taking government decisions very seriously. Now, the pandemic undoubtedly took a lot away from us, but for a group of homeless people at a Durban beachfront, it was an opportunity to grow, literally, and give back. The 10 men living in an emergency camp on Durban's beachfront used COVID-19 as an opportunity to start a vegetable garden on vacant land nearby, and it's flourishing. They started growing spinach in June. Now they're supplying their fresh harvests of tomatoes, lettuce, cabbage, onions, and more to big-time grocers, according to the Mail and Guardian. They're now speaking to the municipality to give them access to more land so that they can increase their productivity and grow their business. By the end of November, they had generated 30,000 Rand for their members. Now, if you haven't heard of Bobby Wine yet, you'll want to. Born in Kampala's slums, the young Ugandan MP seems to be good at everything he does, singing, acting, and politics. He is running for president in Uganda's January 14 election, hoping to end Yoweri Museveni's 34-year rule. But the popular wine, whose real name is Robert Sentamu, has been harassed at every turn. He's been arrested, as have other candidates, and youth protests against his arrest have left over 50 people dead. Museveni took power before 70% of Ugandans were born. His time is up. In our accountability monitor this week, there have now been 3 matric paper leaks, but the authorities are making progress in their investigations. Court proceedings have already kicked off, with the suspect arrested over the mathematics paper 2 leak, and the Hawks are investigating the source of the physical science and life sciences leaks. And we just can't stop laughing about reports of learners using their masks to hide their exam cheat sheets. So it's a win-win all-round situation. Just kidding. We know it sucks for innocent learners who may have to rewrite. Authorities are yet to make a call on that. Now, is it possible for someone or some entity to be criminally charged for pollution? Yes. In an unprecedented case, Eskom is in the dock over its Kendall power station's emissions. Eskom allegedly not only exceeded the limits of the pollution it's allowed to emit, but lied about it too, according to the MNG. The publication reported that the already cash-strapped state utility is now facing a 5 million Rand fine for breaching the air quality legislation. This is the first time the NPA has taken such action against Eskom, and it's a huge deal because it shows that the environment is finally being treated as the priority that it is. It's also reassuring to know that our laws allow for us to hold polluters of our environment to account. The case will be heard in January at the Emalahleni Regional Court. You can keep up with the biggest accountability developments on our accountability monitor, which you can find at explain.coza. Now that's it from us at The Wrap, a product of explain.coza. Remember to share the love, tell your friends to sign up for our updates at explain.coza/subscribe. Until next time, goodbye from the team.